So if you've watched part 1, you'll know that I'm currently turning a road-going CBR1000 RRR into a race bike, which I plan to race next weekend. In the last video, I stripped the bike back ready to be reassembled for the racetrack, and now the parts are starting to arrive. Oh. The first package to arrive is the suspension from K-Tech. The shock is easy peasy, I just bolt it straight in, it's ready to go. The forks, however, are a little bit more labour intensive. It's a cartridge kit, so the springs and damping are going to be replaced, but we maintain the original standard outer portion of the fork. So this is the K-Tech cartridge that I'll be fitting. It's specifically for track use. The settings inside are for racing and being fine-tuned for that specific application. These K-Tech cartridges are asymmetric, so you've got a rebound leg and a compression leg. I don't read anything, so it probably says in the manual to put the rebound leg on a set side, but I've put the rebound leg on the right hand side. It says R and R, so it probably says that somewhere, but then I can't mess it up. So those of you with a keen eye will think, gee, those CBRs have got a long fork travel, but the bottoming out point is actually 45mm up from the bottom lug. So even though there's a long section of chrome tube showing, it has the same fork travel as any other bike. We have highly anticipated freight coming from the UK. Today was the scheduled delivery date, but it seems there's been some sort of delay. So we'll have to wait for tomorrow. As it's now Friday, we're just 1 week away from having the bike on track. We're going to head down to Van Diemen and get the exhaust that they've built for us, and hopefully by the time we get back, some packages will have arrived, and we can start the more exciting part of this process, the build.
Strangely enough, the polished stuff is usually the most popular when it comes to the H2R stuff. There's one of your headers there. Yeah. It's all purge welded joints.
Yeah. Yeah, that's alright. That's fine. Yeah.
Do you think Josh will get some track time or before the
day of practice before the night race? So,
yeah, okay. Whether that's a bracket you normally reuse.
Yeah.
Because any of the aftermarket systems, even Popovich would have that.
Yeah, have the same
exactly
bracket.
Yeah, so we only ever sort of made the headers because of
the demand for it.
Yeah, well, everyone said they just want that. I'll give her as much as she likes.
Each and every package we receive is critical to this build, but the most anticipated was the box coming from my Dow Racing team in the UK. YFT Logistics had taken care of the freight and everything had been going really smoothly. It had even gone quickly past the officers at Australian Border Control and Customs. But unfortunately, the local guys let us down. We intently followed the tracking and it sat just 10 kilometres away for the last 24 hours. So now that it's finally here and unpackaged, we can get on with this build. So the very first thing I'm doing is getting this kit thermostat, which should make the bike run a bit cooler. So this is a kit shark fin, which is a real pleasure to fit because the swing arm's already drilled and tapped, ready to accommodate the threads. So for those wondering what the shark's fin is for, back in the 90s, Daryl Beattie lost all the toes off one foot when it got caught in between the chain and sprocket. So now it's mandatory for racing to have a shark's fin, as they call it, to guide anything that could come in contact with the chain and sprocket, will guide it away. So I was feeling a little overwhelmed with the size of the project. Didn't really know where to start and what to do. I put on the overalls and now it's all come clear and I know exactly where I need to start next. So I've just fitted the carbon air intake, which replaces the standard plastic unit, and also these nicely machined up little steering lock stops. So I don't think they're as critical nowadays, but the standard lock on a road bike is quite far. And in years gone by, the chassis development and bike setup probably wasn't as refined as it is now. So head shake was quite a common thing, and if the steering could go to the full road distance, it would be quite a violent experience. So by putting the little spaces in here on the lock stops, it means you've got less lock for steering, but if you were to get surprised by an unexpected head shake, it's not got as far to go, so it won't be as violent. So you don't have to do this. You can use the standard switch gear with the HRC ECU, but I prefer a more racy look with aftermarket switch gear. So through Billetta Imports, I've got the WRS switch block, which just makes the cockpit look a lot better. Now, if you want to do it on the throttle side and remove your standard throttle housing and your switch, there is a HRC kit version, but it's very expensive. So this is the part of the build I was probably least looking forward to. Now this is a much simplified version of the standard wiring harness, but as you can see, it's still fairly complex and will take some time getting it correctly placed on the bike. And there, it's done. So I'm quite a way into fitting the wiring harness, and I haven't filmed all that for a couple of reasons. One, because this isn't a tutorial on how to fit the HRC wiring harness. Another factor is it would just take far too long, and also it would need a language warning before it went out. So I'm just bringing you up to date. Partway through, I'm just fitting some thread certs into the back of the subframe that will hold the this under seat support. So it's open package time again. Let's see what we've got in here. Oh, we've got lovely gifts from Hell Performance Brakes. So this is my thumb brake master cylinder. This could also be, this is my front brake master cylinder. I can give that one back. And then probably the most important ones here, the brake calipers. This should be a super long one for my rear brake. So the standard engine comes with some reed valves on the front of the cylinder head for emissions, and we take that off for competition. And my team, Dow Racing, have made these nice billet CNC machined blanking off plates, so that makes the job a little bit nicer. So that's the wiring harness completely on. There are a couple of little things I need to do, like route the GPS wire for the lap timer, zip tie a couple of things, connect the battery later on to check that everything works. The switch blocks and handlebars are on and all connected up. So now I can move on to more interesting jobs like fitting the exhaust system and the radiator. So we'll move on to that.